For the last 7 years, I've had quite a few people here in Europe ask me to explain to them Trump and his Maga sycophants. The Europeans' incredulous questions are understandable. What's in Maga minds? How could they believe such things? And why are they so full of hate? Europe has its own history of narcissistic con men who have led the easily led. But I understand that Europeans struggle to comprehend the United States' own unique strain of this political virus. The Trump MAGA phenomenon is often characterized as shallow and one-dimensional, but like all cultural phenomena, it is complicated. We can't reduce the thoughts and feelings of these people to simplistic summaries. We can, however, take a phenomenological approach that looks at what these people say and do, letting them tell and show us what they are about. So, since this is all about inserting philosophy into real-world events, let's deconstruct MAGA, or MAGA if you prefer, the supposed Make America Great Again movement that Trump has founded. Well, first off, what's the point of Trump? And why does he do what he does? What's the point of being one of his MAGA minions? People do things for reasons. Why is always a good question to ask. Trump's reasons are obvious. He shows again and again that he craves and needs to be the center of attention. He also seems to really like feeling important. Those who follow and idolize Trump also seem to get feelings of importance from doing so. That's common. People frequently join groups and or become fans of public figures to gain a sense of importance. There is, though, a particular strain of importance and identity that the Trump MAGA followers are feeling and expressing in their adoration of their leader. Their group is different from, for example, fans of pop music acts or sports teams. A key characteristic of MAGA is that it is antagonistic and externally focused. Sure, there's yay, rah, Trump, yay, rah, us, but the MAGA movement is dominated by the feeling of we are under threat. After all, what MAGA really means is we think America is not great. Feeling under threat means feeling someone is out to get you. Listening to MAGA adherents tells us who they think has made America not great. One of the most telling trends in MAGA is a common right-wing talking point against critical race theory, or CRT. The MAGA mob is very, very against CRT, and they are usually straw-manning it as a war on white people. When pressed to give a more rational reason why they want to ban all mention of CRT and black history, especially slavery and segregation, they accuse CRT of trying to relegate black people to being perpetual victims. Concern troll is concerned. Even if that accusation were true, the MAGA sentiment quickly morphs into accusations that allowing discussion of the history of racial discrimination harms whites. The MAGA moaners are claiming to be victims of CRT. It's out to get white people. And not just victims of CRT, the MAGA martyrs are victims of wokeism, the gay agenda, immigrants, and having to pay taxes. I left out a few dozen other bogeymen allegedly preying on these poor MAGA victims. The MAGA movement is the reactionary right crying, "Circle the wagons, the savages are attacking." Trump, craving attention, exploits the reactionary right's craving for victimhood. Is the boisterous vehemence of Trump and his minions best understood as a demand for recognition of their victimhood? Is that what the culture wars are really about? Saying, you can't talk about social injustices because we are the greater victims here. This demand would explain the motivation for much of what the MAGA martyrs do and say. The Paris Institute for Critical Thinking says that victimhood is a common response to felt trauma. The sense of victimhood can undermine assumptions about the world as a just and reasonable place. Claiming victimhood can also work as a strategy to avoid responsibility and criticism, producing a victim mentality. Taking on that mentality of victimhood, one can feel above ethical accountability, yet entitled to render ethical judgments on others. Sociologists Bradley Campbell and Jason Manning argue that there is a rise of a victimhood culture, and I'll put a link to their book on victimhood culture in the description. The victimhood culture incentivizes people to publicize grievances and make victimhood a central part of their identity. It is, they say, a dizzying cultural milieu that replaces a culture of dignity with a culture of identifying as a victim. Trump is a leader in victimhood culture. We see his reactions to the recent indictments as a classic example of victimhood culture. And his Maga minions are eager participants in this victimhood culture of Maga. Victimhood is a strange way to feel important, but it is not uncommon. I researched the topic of structural antagonism in one of my books. I'll put a link in the description. I argued that some subcultures are oriented toward commiseration over perceived victimhood and take on an attitude of us against the world as a source of identity. The Maga subculture is hardly alone in this behavior, but a whataboutery of that group plays the victim too doesn't change the likelihood, if not probability, that the Maga movement is fundamentally an expression of victimhood. Yes, cancel culture from the fake left is a victim mentality too, and Trump and his Maga minions are another version of cancel culture. As Campbell and Manning say, there is now a clash between these two cancel cultures trying to out-victim each other. Since being indicted, Trump has gone off the charts into victimhood mode. Biden, the Justice Department, Democrats, and the Wicked Witch are all out to get Trump. That's why he needs money, so he says. And his supporters still are apparently willing to shell out money to help victim Trump, who is now claiming he is being martyred for them, his supporters. The incredible irony of it all is that the Maga minions can't point to anything that Trump has done for them other than express out loud their own sense of victimhood. Maybe that's enough. Is this a profession now? Professional victim spokesperson? Listening to Maga. Are the people who support victim Trump themselves victims? They say they are, even if they don't use the V word. Then we should listen to their complaints and ask of them two questions. 1. Are your complaints justified? And are you actually victimized by those you claim are threatening you? That would be CRT, wokeism, the gay agenda, immigrants, and so on. 2. Are you seeking a positive solution? Wallowing in your victimhood? Or reveling in being hostile to others to soothe your feelings of victimhood? If Maga people can justify their complaints and show that they are willing to work for solutions cooperatively and constructively, then we owe them our respect and our cooperation. However, if they are instead interested only in complaining and attacking and canceling other people, then they are victimizing themselves. They are showing that they aren't trying to make America great. They're trying to make themselves greater victims.